Today, I found the worst pet owners ever, starting with Adam Robert Cordon. Britain was a crocodile expert for a big show called Animal Face-Off until he was exposed for violating his own animals. According to court documents, Britain had a long history of deeply inappropriate behavior toward animals, which allegedly began in his early teens, but things escalated dramatically in 2014 when he began adopting dogs, often rescues, and subjecting them to extreme abuse. He kept the dogs in a shipping container on his property in Darwin, Australia. There, he filmed himself torturing, sexually abusing, and ultimately killing many of them. He referred to this place as his torture room. Britain shared these videos with others through encrypted apps like Telegram, encouraging a disturbing underground network to commit similar acts. In April 2022, authorities received an anonymous tip containing one of these videos. That launched Operation Hain, which led to a raid on Britain's home. Investigators found 44 devices, various weapons, remains of multiple dogs, and child abuse material classified as the worst category under Australian law. Britain was arrested in April 2022, but his identity was kept from the public until September 2023. When finally unmasked, he faced over 50 charges, including bestiality, aggravated animal cruelty, possession and distribution of child abuse material, and more. In court, Britain pleaded guilty to all charges. The official summary stated he had abused 42 dogs, and that at least 39 died as a result. He was sentenced to 10 years and 5 months in prison, with a minimum of 6 years before parole. He's also been banned from owning or being around animals for life. Moving on to Jeanie Maxon. Jeanie Maxon was 69 years old when she left her cats in her U-Haul with no AC. On June 29, 2025, deputies from the Merced County Sheriff's Office were dispatched to a Taco Bell parking lot in Santa Nella, California, following reports from witnesses of cats trapped inside a U-Haul van. Upon arrival, Deputy Ross peered inside the hot parked van and immediately observed at least 20 cats visibly suffering. The scene quickly escalated when animal control officers were summoned to conduct a thorough inspection. A total of 134 cats, ranging in age from just 1 week to 8 years, were crammed into the vehicle. Of these, 106 were severely skinny, and tragically, 28 were already deceased. There was no food or water present, and the outside temperature that afternoon soared into the high 90s, making conditions within the van lethal. Following the discovery, all surviving cats were removed and transported to the Merced County Animal Shelter. Veterinarians from the nearby Atwater Veterinary Center joined the effort to stabilize the animals and initiate urgent medical care. Merced County authorities identified the van's owner as Jeanie Maxon, who was arrested at the scene and booked into the Merced County Jail. She faced 93 counts of animal cruelty. As of early July 2025, Jeanie Maxon remained in custody. There's currently no information on if she was actually charged and sentenced. Meanwhile, the surviving cats continued to receive veterinary attention, and authorities prepared for eventual adoptions once they are deemed well enough. Next is Jus Mingrader. Jus Mingrader filmed himself torturing a dog over a series of months in January 2025. In late January, law enforcement executed a search warrant at his residence on Country Club Drive, Fulton County, Georgia, following reports from neighbors that he had been abusing the animal and documenting the cruelty. In one of the final documented incidents, the dog suffered catastrophic injuries, a fractured skull, multiple broken bones, and paralysis. Authorities removed 3 additional dogs and children from the property, later arranging care and adoption for them. The children were taken into protective custody by the Division of Family and Child Services. Mingrader was in custody on bond for multiple prior felonies, including aggravated battery, false imprisonment, inciting a riot, conspiracy to commit a felony, reckless conduct, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. He and a woman identified as Amira Wilkins, a possible girlfriend, faced additional charges stemming from the scene. Following his arrest, Mingrader was charged with 2 counts of aggravated animal cruelty. His bond was immediately revoked. Here is Alida Rogis, age 27, is Canada's most notorious serial cat killer. Rogis' crimes began after a personal breakup in 2018. During that year, she strangled a cat she'd adopted, leaving it for dead in a park. However, luckily, the animal did survive, but that wasn't the only one she tried to kill. Between 2018 and 2022, Rogis adopted 9 cats via online classifieds and shelters. Initially, she tortured rather than killed them, beating biting, kicking, and strangling each feline to inflict maximum suffering. She often recorded these acts, repeatedly watching them because it made her feel good. In some cases, she left mutilated bodies on neighbors' picnic tables or porch steps solely to observe the reactions of the people who discovered them. That's just crazy. The intensity of her violence escalated in October 2022 when she began killing the animals permanently. Rogers admitted that between 2018 and early 2023, she tortured 9 cats and killed 7, often disposing of some bodies by throwing them into the river. A forensic psychiatrist at Calgary's Peter Lougheed Center later assessed her as a psychopath and sociopath with a moderate to high likelihood of reoffending. She was luckily arrested, and in March 2023, Rogers pleaded guilty to 10 criminal charges in Alberta Court of Justice, 9 counts of animal cruelty, and 1 count of threatening property damage. As part of her guilty plea, she publicly admitted, "I have a problem with hurting animals, and you need to do something about it." On September 15, 2023, Judge Mike Dinkle handed down a landmark sentence, 6.5 years in prison and a lifetime ban on owning animals. While the court initially calculated a cumulative sentence exceeding 12 years, Judge Dinkle reduced it in consideration of her status as a young offender. Next is Isaac Yadgarov. Isaac Yadgarov was living in Queens, New York, where he would trap 48 dogs in his tiny apartment. On May 7, 2025, neighbors reported the foul odor from his unit often permeated the hallway and recalling hearing incessant barking from the dogs. So amid mounting housing issues, Yadgarov was in the final stages of being evicted from his 1-bedroom apartment. The next day, May 8th, responders entered the apartment. They encountered a 48 Belgian Malinois dogs confined in a cramped, filthy space strewn with urine, feces, and an overpowering smell of ammonia. Some of the animals were discovered in closets, even drawers, deprived of light, fresh air, and mobility. The extreme conditions hindered rescuers' ability to move and breathe safely. 3 of the dogs were found in such critical condition that rescue teams made the difficult decision to humanely euthanize them on the spot. The remaining 45 animals were transported to care facilities, where they underwent medical care, nourishment, and rehabilitation to prepare them for eventual adoption. Animal welfare groups described them as severely under-socialized. Most had never walked on grass or experienced fresh air. Yadgarov himself was not present at the time of the rescue, having already been evicted. However, on May 13, 2025, he turned himself in and was officially taken into custody. By June 2nd, he appeared before Queens Criminal Court Judge Edward Daniels, where he was arraigned on a staggering 96 misdemeanor counts, 48 counts of aggravated cruelty to animals, and 48 counts of failure to provide adequate food, water, and shelter. If convicted, Yadgarov faces up to 1 year in jail, the maximum penalty for the charges. Finally is Luis Augusto Pinhero de Souza. In early November 2021, anonymous tip reported that hundreds of buffalo were confined on Luis's farm without adequate access to food or water. Concerned environmental police responded and discovered approximately 500 severely malnourished buffalo, many too weak even to stand, surrounded by the bodies of those that had already died. Press attention quickly escalated, with volunteers, including veterinarians, mobilizing to deliver water, feed, and medical care. One volunteer doctor described the scene as a war zone, estimating around 500 buffalo had perished from hunger or neglect, while around 667 were still alive but in critical condition. Luis Agusto, who also operates a buffalo-themed restaurant in Brotas, publicly denied the allegations. In interviews with Globo TV, he stated that the animals had not been intentionally abandoned, claiming some died naturally, and that food and water were available. He insisted the deaths were due to natural causes. On November 11, 2021, Luis Augusto was arrested following an inspection by the police chief Douglas Brandon do Amaral. The inspection revealed that the owner was using a tractor to destroy what little pasture remained, a move the authorities interpreted as a deliberate attempt to exacerbate the animals' suffering. As the investigation unfolded, it emerged that over 1,000 buffalo had been affected. Some sources estimate 1,056 buffalo and an additional 72 horses and mares. In the aftermath, Luis Augusto faced multiple large fines, including a previous 2.13 million reais fine for animal mistreatment and another 1.45 million reais issued around the same time, totaling almost $650,000.